Finding great developers can be tough, but when you're talking test automation engineers, the stakes are even higher. You need
Mhm.
someone who can write code A and D, almost predict like how it might fail.
Oh, absolutely. Finding those engineers, it can feel like searching for a needle in a haystack sometimes.
It really can.
That's why a lot of people turn to theperfectdeveloper.com. Makes it so much easier.
Speaking of easier, in this mini deep dive, we're going to tackle your most common questions about hiring test automation engineers. So we'll explore what they actually do, what sets them apart, and the skills you absolutely have to look for. By the way, want a shortcut to pinpoint the perfect developer, like for any project?
Mhm.
Head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and try the 5 questions. It'll change the way you hire, I promise.
It really will. So, first things first, what does a test automation engineer actually do?
Yeah, it's way more than just clicking around and seeing if something breaks.
Right.
They design, they write, they actually implement automated tests to make sure the software is working right, performing well, and is reliable at the end of the day. It's like building a robot army to find bugs before they even get to your users.
A robot army. I love that. That's a great way to put it. But what makes these robot commanders different from other developers?
I think it's all about perspective. So developers are building features while test automation engineers are trying to break them,
Hmm.
constructively, of course. It's a different mindset. They're focused on anticipating problems and making sure that software is really robust.
Yeah. That's a really important distinction to make. And obviously, with that unique perspective comes a pretty specialized skill set.
Speaking of skills, what are the must-haves when you're hiring a test automation engineer?
Well, let's start with the technical foundation. They need to have a strong command of programming languages like Java, Python, C Sharp.
Right, and they need to know how to use those languages with like, industry standard testing tools like Selenium or Appium, right?
Yeah.
But there's more to it than just code, right?
Oh, for sure. They also need to have a really sharp analytical mind. They need to break down requirements that are super complicated, create comprehensive test plans, and they kind of have to think like a detective, basically, uncovering those potential vulnerabilities.
So it's a mix of technical skills and problem solving.
Exactly. And they also need to be super detail oriented. It's not just about finding bugs, it's about understanding the root cause and being able to communicate that to the developers.
So with all those skills in such high demand, it begs the question, like, what kind of salary are we talking about here? What can a test automation engineer really expect?
Well, that's where resources like theperfectdeveloper.com are so helpful. Salaries vary a lot. It depends on location, experience, industry. But generally speaking,
You get what you pay for,
exactly.
you know? You try to save a few bucks by skimping on experience, and it could end up costing you way more down the line. You know, delays, buggy software.
That's such a great point. It's an investment in quality. But I think the big question that everybody has is, should you hire in-house, outsource, or go freelance?
That is the question, isn't it? And there really isn't like a one-size-fits-all answer.
No, not at all. It all depends on, what you need, what kind of projects you're working on. If you've got ongoing development, you need continuous testing, a full-time in-house engineer, that might be the best way to go.
But what if you have like a shorter project, or you need someone, with very specific expertise for just one part of it?
That's when you might think about outsourcing or freelancers. Offers a lot more flexibility and it can often be more cost effective, especially in those scenarios.
And that's when a place like theperfectdeveloper.com can be so helpful,
Mm-mm.
right?
Absolutely. Takes all the guesswork out of it. But let's say you figured out the hiring model. How do you make sure you're attracting the right people? Especially in such a competitive market.
Well, it's not just about offering a big salary,
Hmm.
although obviously competitive compensation is important.
Yeah, but these days, test automation engineers are looking for more, right?
Mm.
They want to grow their skills.
Right.
So, highlight those career paths, offer training, show them how they can make a real impact at your company.
So it's about selling the whole package.
Yep,
Interesting projects, a supportive environment, and a chance to really like level up their skills.
exactly. And don't forget about the tools. Nobody wants to feel like they're, working with outdated tech.
Oh, right. Yeah. Make sure you're using the latest stuff.
Yeah.
Emphasize, innovation, that your engineers are going to have access to all the cutting edge resources.
Sure. Now, once you've got, a bunch of great candidates, how do you pick out the rock stars, the ones who are really going to shine?
Well, I think the interview process is key, right? You got to dig a little deeper. It's not just about those technical skills. You need to look for problem-solving skills, that attention to detail we were talking about, and communication skills. Being able to communicate well.
Definitely. And don't be afraid to, get creative with your questions. Ask them about a challenging bug that they found and how they figured out how to fix it.
Oh, yeah, that real-world experience,
Hmm.
nothing beats that. And remember, it's a two-way street, right? The candidate's also checking you out.
Right.
So, show off your company culture, what makes you unique, what are your values.
Yeah, and share some testimonials from your current test automation
Oh,
engineers.
that's a great idea.
Let them talk about what it's like to work there.
That's smart.
Authenticity is so important, but, let's be honest, hiring the perfect test automation engineer, it can take time.
And time is something a lot of us don't have. So any tips for speeding things up without sacrificing quality?
Well, that's where a platform like theperfectdeveloper.com can be so helpful, right? They've got a whole system. It's designed to match you up with developers who, not only have the right skills, but they also fit your company culture and what you need for your specific project.
Yeah, it's finding that sweet spot, right? The right skills, the right attitude, and the right fit for your team.
Exactly. And speaking of the right fit, we've talked a lot about technical skills, but what about those soft skills that are just so important for any team member, really?
Oh, they're absolutely critical. I mean, communication is key, right? You need someone who can explain, those technical concepts to anyone,
Yeah.
explain their approach to testing, and just work really well with the developers and everyone else on the team.
Yeah, it's not just about finding bugs, it's about being able to explain them in a way that, helps everyone get it and work towards a solution together. Exactly. And we can't forget about problem solving. A great test automation engineer, they're not just following a script. They're thinking critically, they're anticipating what could go wrong, and they're coming up with creative solutions.
So it's about having that proactive mindset, right?
Yeah.
Being able to see the big picture and how all of this affects the whole software development process.
Absolutely. And as software keeps changing and getting more complex, so will the role of the test automation engineer, right? They'll have to adapt to new technologies, new ways of doing things, and always be learning.
It's definitely an exciting field. And finding those talented people, it's a smart investment. It'll pay off big time for your company in the long run.
For sure. So if you're ready to make hiring easier, whether it's a test automation engineer or any other tech talent, head over to theperfectdeveloper.com and check out the 5 questions. It's the fastest and easiest way to find the perfect person for your project.
It's like a secret weapon. Thanks for joining us for this mini deep dive into the world of hiring test automation engineers. Hope you found it helpful. And, now you've got the tools to go out and build an amazing software team.